Hey guys, Trigger John coming at you with another Diablo Immortal video. This video is going to be a breakdown of the Paragon Tree and individual stats that you are given from the Paragon Tree. We're going to actually compare how many points it takes to get to certain levels on the actual Paragon Tree itself, what it actually gives you as a result of those points, and also talk about just a little bit of a correlation to go with the gems that are going to go correspond with those stats to let you know which ones would be better to focus on in which area on the tree if you are someone who is not dedicating all of your stats to one particular tree. Also, I did want to point out, today is my birthday, so if you're watching this video as it comes out the day of it, I'm actually streaming for a 12-hour stream during this time. I'll be live until 10 p.m. EST, maybe just a smidge longer than that, depending on how it goes. Hopefully, we'll pour some drinks, we'll have some fun. Come pop in, say hi, ask as many questions as you want, because like I said, I'll be live for pretty much all this day, and I'll be live again Monday, 8 p.m. EST. So definitely stop in, say hi, and yeah, stay tuned. All right, so like I said at the very beginning of the video, there's some things to consider when picking your Paragon Tree. Now, for those of you who didn't see the major debate that Veiled Shot and I had, Veiled Shot and I kind of debated on the difference between Treasure Hunter Tree and the Gladiator Tree, and kind of what you should be know and what to take from those trees, right? Because you're not always going to want to be dependent on one or the other. Some people want to spec into both trees and then just click of a button to switch back and forth. We're going to kind of talk about a little bit of that. And we're also going to talk about the amount of stats that you lose by doing this. So, and the reason why we're bringing this up is because we're very fastly approaching this, the new Paragon trees called Soldier and Mastermind. And these are going to be interesting trees as well. So you'll notice that current Paragon levels are about, what is this, 122. So technically we have 28 levels until Paragon level allows you to easily hit those trees. So at 28 levels divided by 2, that means 2 weeks after making of this video that you will actually be able to spec into those trees. So this is going to be really key for you to know, okay, I have these points. What stats should I really be following, if that makes sense? So let's break it down for you. So currently we are Paragon level 120. So this means we get 120 points. Now, for those of you who are interested in the Treasure Hunter tree, to get the most fluff for your buck, it will cost you 54 points. So let's go ahead and take your 120 and we'll subtract the 54 points. Now, once you subtract the 54 points here, that gives you 66 points still allotted. Now, what would you want to do with these 66 points? You have a few different options, right? Like, depending on what you're trying to do in game, is going to really differentiate what you're going to be doing as far as damage wise, as far as what you're going to be going for. If you're someone who's PvP oriented, it's going to change what one you go for PvP versus what you go for PvE, right? So you need to be aware of, okay, if I have 66 points left, I have other skill trees here. Now I did just finish out my Gladiator tree to what's the key things for the Gladiator. This cost me 63 points. So this actually costs you, what is that? An additional 9 points more than the Treasure Hunter tree does. But Gladiator, if you're someone who's focused on the PvP side, you're going to want to know about this cheat death. You're going to want to grab the quick-witted. You're going to want to grab, obviously, uncontrollable. And then you're going to want to have this so that way you can toggle back and forth depending on if you're doing Treasure Hunter or Gladiator. I'm unfortunately locked into Treasure Hunter for 2 weeks because I lost a bet. So I got 1 more week left of that. But that's okay. What we want to bring up and talk to you about is what stats are you getting and how much of the resources is it actually taking up. So let's break down exactly how much points per stat given that you get, okay? So for example here, Armor Pin is one that's very common, right? So Armor Pin for a 15 slot gives you plus 60. So what this means is for 50, so 60 plus 60 Armor Pin divided by 15 means that per Paragon level, per point, you get 4 Armor Pin. Now that's just for Armor Pin here. And actually let's move the calculator down just a little bit so you can see that 60. There you go. So there's the 60. And that way you have a better idea of what I was just saying. So per level is you get 4. Okay, so let's talk about something else. So let's go over here to damage. Okay, so notice that damage, we are 15 points and we're at 300. So what's this do for us? So if we take 300 and we divide this by 15 points, we get 20. So that's a 5 times the ratio of the Armor Pin. Now, The thing to note and that differentiate between the two of these is armor pen is crit damage, whereas damage is just straight up damage. Now, why we bring this up and we talk about the difference between here and that the ratio is actually a 5 times ratio is because you have to have X amount of damage to get your crit damage to proc, and crit damage only procs when you have crit rate. Notice that we are now, what is this? We're Paragon 120, and my crit rate for my character is only at about 9%, unfortunately, but I'm a Crusader now, so that means I get to pop banner and always crit, which is amazing. So crit damage would really do a lot for me. Whereas before, it really wouldn't with my my Demon Hunter build, right? So that's something to note when you look at these stats going from a 4-to-1 ratio. What I would probably advise for you, though, and point out is that no matter what build you're going for, no matter what stat you're going for, the way the math works for armor pen versus damage is armor pen is multiplicative of your damage. So the higher your damage, the higher your armor pen actually damage will do. It's easier to stack damage faster than it is to stack armor pen faster, if that makes sense. That's going to also be kind of common when you talk about like armor, right? So notice that armor here is +4 armor for 0, so that's going to be 80. So that's going to be literally 4 total, right? And actually, I think for potency, you can see here that it's 4 as well. I think resistance is the same. Let me see if I can't find the resistance. Come on, where's it at? There it is. Resistance is also 4. So notice that that's all linear, right? So potency and resistance is all going to be kind of linear as far as what you get for, not on the same page, John, I don't know why I keep doing this. It's all going to be linear as far as what you get. So it's not like you're giving up something when it comes to resistance and potency. However, when it comes to damage and armor pen, it's wildly different, right? So it's going to be more cost effective for you to go for damage on your Paragon tree than it would be to go for, say, armor pen on your Paragon tree, right? As far as investment of points into your tree itself. Now, the other thing to note here is going to be actually your life. Now, life actually has the highest return on stat increase because for one point of life is +200 versus like armor is 4, right? Same as armor pen. So this actually gives you the most benefit for your buck over even the damage multiplier. So really, when you're thinking about what flat stats do you want on your Paragon tree, you need to think about, okay, what is my return on investment for each point? In this case, damage and life are actually the highest investment points when it comes to your Paragon tree. Now, I noted also earlier that I wanted to talk about why is this important for you as a viewer? Because when you come down here and you want to figure out, okay, well, do I want armor pen? Do I want armor here? Notice that these, once again, these are the exact same. But if you are someone who has a high crit rate, and let's say you're really going for armor pen, right? Then you're going to want to take this and you're going to want to stack as many armor pens as you can, as much as you can, to do the damage, because you're going to get a better investment off of these normal gems, off of the, not aquamarines, what are these, sapphires? Yeah, off sapphire gems, than you will if you were to try to get those stats on your Paragon tree. So I would highly recommend you do that, as well as even when it comes down to anything else, you want to go for like damage over your life, because you can grab, so notice I'm full damage here. I don't have any of my rubies for my life, and that's because I'm getting life from my Paragon tree. So actually, now that I have my Paragon tree maxed out for my Gladiator for what I want and need, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to find more life. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab Vanquisher because this is 5 points, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab this life for 25 points, and that's going to be great. That's going to help me out extremely. And then I'll probably drop down, get maybe a little bit more damage, or I'll switch over to Survivor and go ahead and grab these quick 5 for that one. It's all about what the investment pattern is going to be for you. Because then if you're trying to invest and you're trying to min-max your stats the most, and you're trying to utilize all the free points at your disposal, the Paragon tree is going to be the most beneficial to use your life and your damage for, and then try to get all the other stats that you're looking for in your gems for your actual equipment bonus. The nice thing about this too, though, is if you try to do that and you plan this out correctly, you can go to the Hilt Trader, and depending on your activeness in the game, because there are caveats and stipulations to this, like if you're doing battlegrounds or if you're doing everything else that gives you the most hilts per day, you can actually come over here and you can buy gems every week, right? So notice that this week I already bought them. So I bought all 10 of my gems for the week. Now this did cost me a lot. This cost me 2,000 hilts. However, notice I still have 3,000 up here. I do all the dailies every single day to acquire as many hilts as possible. So this allows me to kind of invest in this. And what this does for me is this allows me to upgrade those gems, those normal gems in my inventory. And I actually leave the other ones alone so that way I can sell these ones to help facilitate my other gems. But notice that I have 12 here that are just waiting to go. That's because I bought those gems and I constantly buy those gems. I constantly check this hilt trader to go ahead and grab the limited time gems like this. I pick the ones I want to use. I go ahead and I grab them and boom. So now that gives me another one that you'll see in my inventory. So that means my non-sellables is up to 13 because you can't sell those. And I'm increasing the amount of damage that I can get on my actual gear here. And the other option that I would have for these sockets would be life. Now, life being the highest investment on the Paragon Tree, it actually would make more sense for me to take a life on my Paragon Tree than it would be damage, right? But in this case, I'm being a little selfish and I'm just trying to go for damage. But if you're someone who's trying to min-max, you want to be aware of how many points is actually required for your Paragon Tree versus how many points is required on your gems here, right? Like how can you multiply this the best to make it work the perfect amount for your particular build? That's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to make sure to make it just very clear and aware that there is a little bit of math. There's a little bit of things to kind of consider when you're wanting to take one gem or one Paragon Tree level, from one to the other, and how much you want to invest actually in it so that way you can maximize the potential of your build. Hopefully this helped you, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.